Hello guys, so today we're talking about the series expansion of ascending powers, okay? So let's move into the first part of it. So here, at the last lesson we said if we have 1 minus or 1 plus, maybe for x power of n, right? Maybe for example like here, you can just consider it as here we have n bracket times together, like 1 times x, 1 times 1 plus x, times a lot of brackets inside of here is 1 plus x, right? So we can say the first term is 1 because we can choosing all 1 in all brackets and the times together is 1, right? And then we can also choosing like from nth bracket, we can choosing maybe for nc like 1, and that is for n, right? That is for only n here. Like nx times 1 power of n minus 1, then plus n times n minus 1 over 2 x squared times 1 power of n minus 2, right? So you can just using this to expand it, right? So for example, like y1 over y minus x, we can just consider this equation as 1 minus x power of negative 1, right? So here we can set right here, like you can just consider like there's n equals to negative 1, right? And here is for negative x. So we can just set this for 1 plus, here is for n is negative 1, right? Times x, here is for negative x, times 1 power of n minus 1, right? That is for 1 power of minus 1, right? Okay, so it's times 1 times negative 2 power, right? So the answer can be said is for 1 plus x, right? And then we can add it a third term. Here is for n times n minus 1 over 2 x squared, 1 times 1 n minus 1 n minus 2, right? So we can set that here because n here equals to negative 1, the negative 1 times negative 2 over 2, then times x squared, negative x squared, and then times 1 power of negative 1 minus 2, right? So after expanding it, you can find here it's for x squared, and then it's for x cubed. So this equation can be expanded as 1 plus x squared plus x cubed, right? Also, for this equation, we can say that we can consider as 1 minus x power of negative 2. So here, just using or just choosing n equals negative 2, you can put into this equation, and then you can simplify it. So what about for 1 over 2 plus 3x? So we can first written down as a half times 1 over 1 plus 3 over 2x. So it can be written as a half times 1 plus 3 over 2x power of negative 1, right? And then you can expand it. For example, like here, you can say that for thing 1, you can just say it's n times x, n times 3 over 2x, and then it's for n times n times n minus 1 over 2 times 3 over 2x squared, right? We can just expand it all of this. Okay, so just consider like first using 1 plus u power of n's equation, and then consider u as a value and n as an exact number here, okay? So here is a quick practice for you. So if you want to try on yourself, you can pause the video and then do it yourself. But if you want to follow with me, you can keep on going, okay? So maybe for the first problem is that first do the partial fraction numbers and expand up x cubed, right? So first we can say last lesson we already learned that for this equation we can just set is for a over 1 minus x plus b over 1 minus 2x, right? So we can first trying to set into one fraction number here is for 1 minus x times 1 minus 2x, right? So here the denominator is for a times 1 minus 2x plus b times 1 minus x, right? But then you can expand the bracket. It will become into a plus b. Here is for minus 2a plus bx, right? And the denominator is here. Okay. So we can say here, a plus b equals to 1 and 2a plus b must equal to 0, right? To make sure there's no x on the denominator, okay? But then you can just calculate here, like a equals negative 1 and b equals to 2, okay? So we can say for question 1, you can just simplify it as negative 1 minus x power of negative 1, and here plus 2 times 1 minus 2x power of negative 1, right? So just using like 1 plus u power of n, you can set like here is for 1 plus n times u plus n times n minus 1 over 2 times u squared, right? So also we have plus n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 over 6 times u cubed, right? So for the first term, we can set that here equals to minus here u equals to negative x and n equals to negative 1, right? So it's for 1, I guess it's for plus negative 1 times negative x and plus negative 1 times negative 2 over 2 times negative x squared, and then plus negative 1 times negative 2 times negative 3 over 6 times negative 2 x cubed, right? That is the first term. So we can simplify it. So the first term is 1, because we only need to expand up to x cubed, right? So here is for minus 1, here is for x, right? 1 plus x, and here is for 1 times x squared, is 1 plus x squared, and here is for plus x cubed, right? So we can set here that the first term is for minus 1 plus x squared plus x cubed, right? And for the second equation, we can also expand it, right? So we can also say like this 2 times, just here let the u equals to negative 2x and n equals to negative 1, right? So just put into the formula, like here is for 1 plus negative 1 times negative 2x, and then plus here's for negative 1 times negative 2 over 2 times u squared, right? So here we can set here that the u squared we can calculate it as u squared is for negative 2x, right? And the last term is for negative 6 times over 6 times negative 2x cubed, right? So you can just expand it as negative 1 plus x squared plus x cubed. And then we said we can plus 2 times 1, and here's plus 2x, and here is for plus, here is for 4x squared, and then here is for plus 8x cubed, right? That is for the equation, right? So you can just then simplify it a little bit. So here is for 2 minus 1 is 1, right? And minus x, here is for 4x is plus 3x, right? Here's for minus x squared, here's for plus 8x squared, so it's plus 7x squared. And here's for plus 16x cubed, here's minus x cubed, so it's for plus 18x cubed, okay? That is for the first question, how we can expand the first three terms, okay? Here it is. Okay, and also for the second problem, you can just maybe for here, like expand 1 over 1 minus 2x squared up to x cubed. So you can just read it as 1 minus 2x power of negative 2, right? So you can just consider here using the formula, 1 plus u power of n can be expanded as 1 plus nu plus n times n minus 1 over u times u squared plus n times n minus 1 n minus 2 over 6 times u cubed, right? Right, another a lot of the values here. So it can be considered as here n equals negative 2 and u equals negative 2x, right? Just fit into it and provide first, second, and third, the last step, okay? That's for his overall lesson. So thanks for listening. So see you next lesson. Bye.